Black women, like I know I did a campaign 2 years ago. Black women who live in Japan, Black women who live in Korea, like creatives who stay in Japan and Korea. Country music.
All right, everybody, and welcome back to season 2 of Melanin Minds, where we are highlighting Black women in the comic book and manga space. Our first guest of this season is one I am very excited for. Okay, she has her whole platform. She's a content creator. She promotes Black and brown voices in the blurred space. She is an amazing person, and she has her own manga called Birth of Bashin, or Birth of a Bashin. I think I'm saying it right. I do believe she's said it before, and I could be not remembering correctly. It is a really good manga, though. Okay, I've read it, and I need to read it again because I'm missing certain points of it, and so it needs to reread. But Ty of Blaque N Kulture is our guest today.
Hi, hello.
I'm really excited to have you here. I think this is the first time we've ever gotten to really chat.
Yeah, excited to be here. Like I'm just kind of in the space. So like I see y'all, and of course, I have a relationship with Concrete Comics, so I see y'all, and in that regard. And typically, I see Lloyd, but sometimes you be there, and I'm just like, where his wife though? Where's his wife?
Well, I will say you can blame me for that, not him. I'm
Okay.
learning to be more in front of the camera than behind the camera and doing the editing and scheduling and stuff.
But that's a very important job. Honestly, people do not they think this content creation thing is just hopping in front of the camera, but when you start taking on larger projects and you start having big things that you have to organization, scheduling, all that stuff is so important.
Man, I've learned so much even before doing this, because as an actress, that side of trying to do social media on my own stuff is just, it's stressful.
Yes, indeed.
I don't like it. And we always talk about that. He'll be like, oh, I hate social media. Tasha does it all. I hate it too. I just know it must be done.
It's got to be done. It's a part of the job.
But we're gonna dive right into this. We're gonna go a little something, because we did a video on you. Is that 2 years ago now for Women's History Month?
Yeah. I was very surprised. I was like, oh snap! I'm Mom, I made it. Someone made a video about me.
Right. But so of course, because we've done that video, we've done research on you, so we know a little bit of your background. But for other people who might not know who Ty is by some magical way, can you share with us a bit about your background and how your intersecting identities also shape your experience as a Black woman creative, in this space, in this blurred space?
So let's see here. So I got started, I would say like as a creative, I got started in around 2018, which is a very unique start for a lot of people, a lot of the creatives in this space. That I consider this like generations. So like first generation is like RDC World. He's like first gen, and all his people around him, those are like first generation Black creators that typically like make nerd content. So I would consider myself like a second generation. I was observing RDC World, and at the time, Black Girls Anime, and a lot of people within that space, Kiara, please. And I was just so incredibly inspired because I wanted to do something like that, but I just didn't really know like what it looked like to execute that. I've always been a writer, like I like to write a lot. So I was like, well, let me just start a blog. And I always say that the Blaque N Kulture was just kind of one of those things. It was a placeholder name. I didn't really know what to call myself. I had a lot of different iterations of names. I was just going to, come up with something super generic, but I was playing around with names, and I wrote Black because I wanted to put the Black in the culture, and I wanted to talk about Black culture and nerd culture. Like I was just trying to like put a whole bunch of things in there, and initially I just spelled it right, and I was just like, I'm gonna leave this here and I'm gonna come back to it, and kept doing research. And then next thing you know, I was like, I'm gonna keep this, but I can't have just Blaque N Kulture. I was like, I gotta spell it funky. So right. Spelled it funky, and then all my friends teased me. It's like, of course you spelled it funky. I was like, I just got to be different.
It stands out. And if you remember the group Blaque, the girl, it
Yes.
reminds me of that too.
Mm-hmm. I actually have a project coming up of a self-portrait project that I was doing inspired by Blaque, but
Ooh.
that's that's for another moment. I'm very inspired by them. Um, but so I started my blog 2018. It was going great. Then I realized I absolutely hate writing blogs. I don't know. I don't. It's not for me. I see why people do it. I see why people really enjoy it, but it's the way my brain works. I end up like writing multiple versions of the same thing, and I was just like, I really got tired out, but I was pushing through it because I really wanted to talk about people, and my blog was picking up a little bit of steam. But then I kind of found my way into photography. Loved photography. I'm still kind of do for freelance photography now. So then I was doing photography projects while I was doing that, and I was like, okay, well, maybe I'll just talk about, I'll do both. Like I'll do a little photography and I'll do the blog, and I'll just talk about, because I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'll talk about like nerd stuff in Orlando, Florida. And then COVID hit. So I had to completely like just pivot because I couldn't go anywhere. My platform was, while it was picking up steam, it heavily relied on me being at events, and I couldn't go to anything. So I just started making video content, and my first kind of videos are real rough, but I'm very proud of them. I'm very proud of my very first video. I think I was very straightforward and direct about what I had to say. Didn't get a lot of views, but I've never been really view seeking, so it's just kind of what it is. They're out there though. And then from there, I just kept making video content. I've kind of mastered short form content, but I've always wanted to be a YouTuber. Like genuinely, that's like where I'm headed, is YouTube. And since then, like I think my initial idea has grown. My platform is so much more than I even thought it was going to be. Now I'm like, I make my own content as a content creator, but now then I also do comic book editing on the side. I'm as far as the comic book Birth of a Bashin, that's a part of a series I'm doing with my dad and my sister. And we're getting ready to do more comic book stuff. And I also run the press company BN'K on Tour, where we review events. And it's just like, I'm just wondering how I keep doing more stuff, because it doesn't feel real sometimes. I'm just like, wow, I really do this. And I'm like, and also like the more notoriety you get, the bigger like my brand gets, the more freaked out I get, because I'm like, why are you guys all looking at me? Why are you staring at me? You guys know I'm just some random person in my room, right? Like I'm just this random Black woman who's like hyper fixated on anime. But also I understand it, because I remember when I first saw someone like me making the content I made, that's what got me started. So it's been a whirlwind. That's kind of how I started. And as far as like intersect like my unique experiences and what makes me unique as a Black creative, I think just my I find myself like, in like humble brag, I genuinely find myself to be really authentic on camera, and I think people really connect with that. I definitely do have two type of like, I have a, front facing persona, and then some things I keep private, but I try to be as authentic to who I am and what I want, and very strong in what I like, because a lot of people are very scared, especially as time is moving on. People are definitely more out and about it, but a lot of people, I still think there's like a weird stigma behind having special interests, and some people still don't think content creation is a job. Some people still don't think like nerd and otaku spaces are valid spaces of entertainment. There's still almost like this, yeah, you guys are playing online kind of thing, and I'm really proud that I get to say, no, I'm not playing online. I'm establishing a business, I'm establishing a community, people are connecting with a brand, and I'm making money off of this. So I'm really happy about that experience I'm at right now.
Yeah. When you said you were making a manga with your dad and sister, when you initially said it, it's like, oh my god, that is so sweet. And I read it, and it's like, oh, this is so good. And I think your dad does the art, right?
No. So my dad is created the entire universe. He started in 2004. It's his baby. So yeah, he's been writing this whole universe for forever. And then in 2013, my sister and I were still teenagers, but he expressed to us that he was going to start the process of preparing himself to be financially steady to invest in comic booking. And then in 2020, he was like, hey, remember when I said when you were like 15, 16? It's happening now. So then I went from having genuinely my comic book knowledge as far as like the process of making comic books is very, very fresh. I started learning and like actively getting involved in comic book making in 2020. And then from there, I became the co writer. So I've helped to rewrite a good portion of my dad's work. Still very much his story, but I've rewritten quite a bit of it. As well as I do active editing. My sister is a colorist. And then we hired a artist. His name is Sebastian Rivera. He's out of Spain, and man, that Sebastian
He
can
killed
draw his whole tushy off.
it. He
Like,
killed it.
like
Art in that
he
book is
makes it.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
I
Such
mean,
an amazing artist.
the whole book is really good. So,
I'm
so anyone
glad.
who hasn't read it, you can find it on Novatunes, by the way. But
Mm.
but yeah, and then you also said about how you come across very authentic on your videos, and you really do. Like I enjoy
Mm.
it. I'd be like, man, I feel authentic, but I feel so awkward at the same time, and you just seem like you're just doing it. It's so refreshing to watch too, because you're also like have this very relaxing persona. So it's like
Mm.
really nice to watch, and just it feels like you're just kicking back, chilling it, even in your Twitch streams. Like we're just kicking it, we're just having a good
Yeah.
time. Everybody's hanging out.
I think that's a lot comes with I'm a very big YouTube nerd. And I don't talk about it a lot just because like I haven't really been in that space yet, but I'm a huge YouTube nerd, and when I was growing up watching YouTubers, I'm very used to that kind of somebody is literally in the on their floor in their like closet in their bedroom, and they're just talking about their special interests. And
Oh
I
man,
think that
days.
oh my goodness, those are the days. And like I definitely love like the hyper produced like super cool aesthetic videos. I do. But that's one that's out of my budget. So I definitely not going to do more than what I can physically afford. And two, I don't know. I feel like the most important thing that I'm talking about is what I'm actually discussing. And it's not that I don't do a lot of takes, because boy, I do so many takes. The amount of uh my boyfriend, he knows when I'm filming, because I'll say hello, and then I'll say the title of the video 3 different times. He's like, how many takes is it? I was like, it's like 50 takes, man. It's like 50 takes. I don't know why. But I try to keep like, by the time I put something out, I think it's just me getting out of my head and saying, people are gonna like what they like, and that people are going to connect with you, and I like when people connect with me. I just posted a video literally like 2 days ago called if you like this black TV show, then you'll like this anime. And it's just kind of like my page gets hits here and there, but this video really blew up. And so many like connecting with so many black women, they're like, oh, I'm gonna start anime, or oh, I didn't even think about this, or oh man, I gotta start watching black TV shows. I'm like, see, this is what I'm talking about. I just want to have these conversations. I just want to talk to y'all.
You just want to do this.
I just want to talk. I just want to talk, and I could talk forever. So I think it's a good profession for me to just sit in front of a camera and talk all day, because I like to do that.
Well, I like watching it. So,
Thank
so
you. Thank you.
how do you believe that your race and gender have influenced your creative process and the themes and topics that you explore when you're working?
Um, as far as my race, I will say me being black heavily influences everything I do for Blaque N Kulture. It's in the title of my name. Um, there's a unique experience that we as black folk have within the world, and then specifically like black Americans have within the states, that I think um everybody approaches it a little bit differently. Some black creators like to kind of put it to the side and they don't include it in their work because they just want to be recognized for what they have to say. Some people are very hyper focused on, the black aspect of people being in there. I think my approach is, for me, is I just want to show people that we exist in this space. Whether no matter what kind of black person exists in this space, we exist in this space, and so many different kinds of black people exist in this space.
Mm.
Also, we contribute so much to the space. I think that even to this day, the more I do like conventions, the more I do my own research about my community, like just realizing like, oh, did you know that there was that a black artist was one of the first black mangaka that brought mech like that brought mech manga to America. I found that out because I went to a comic book and I met with a comic book convention. I met with Marcus Roberts of Second Sight, and he's done tons of research about blackness in the comic book space. Would have never learned that had I not connected. And learning about all the different Black voice actors who were, who were in the space long before anybody else was, the Black animators, these people who helped establish like Adult Swim and Cartoon Network. We're just so ingrained in entertainment in this, in, not just in the States, but everywhere. And it saddens me to think that sometimes people will brush it off, or some people won't give us our flowers for how integral we really are to this community. So I think my race is the reason why I created this platform, was to really show what we're doing in this space. And then as far as like, I'm just so heavily influenced by Black people in this space, by Black people period, not just in the nerd community, but just like I see somebody doing something cool elsewhere, I'm like, I gotta do that, or I gotta see more about that. As far as gender, I think that's something I personally, as far as my experience, I have not really experienced too much. I know that me being a Black woman is important, just because I have a unique perspective and take as a Black woman. But in my personal experiences, I have yet to experience anything too negative as far as me being a Black woman in space. I think me being a woman has allowed me to connect with so many different kinds of femmes in this space, which I love. But I know that a lot of other Black women, women especially in this space, oftentimes will get a lot of negativity and misogynoir for being in the nerd space, and I haven't personally experienced that, which freaks me out and scares me. I am very afraid. I am very afraid, not afraid in the sense of like I don't know how to handle myself online. Personally, hate comments don't bother me. I tell people all the time, I am a true internet goblin. There's nothing that you can say to me that I have not heard, read, or seen before. However, I think it is also kind of surreal that I've been able to move in this space like I have, without facing it, without receiving that kind of criticism. That freaks me out a little bit. And I'm just like, well, who's going to do it? Who's going to say it? When is it going to happen?
Where is it going to come from?
Where is it going to come from? Even on a video I posted on YouTube, which was kind of where I was talking about Inaris Quinones as a voice actress, I was receiving criticism, but no one brought the fact that I was, well, one person, but we're not going to talk about that guy. But nobody really was bringing up my womanhood, like my Blackness, sure, but my womanhood. No one really said anything about that and their critique of me, and I was like, that scares me. I don't know why, but it freaks me out a little bit. So that's my experience so far.
Nice. Oh yeah, it's weird. I think I've experienced definitely plenty of racism online since doing this, but not as much of the misogynoir. I've gotten more of that in person than in my online like time. And then, or other times where I'll be not necessarily to my face or in a space where I'm not there, but somebody I know is there, it's happening. I'm just like, I'm glad I didn't go, because we might have been fighting. Like, because they just don't know how to be quiet.
Absolutely.
Shut up. Can we all just enjoy things, please?
You would think we could just all enjoy things, but I don't know. I feel like some people are just like, maybe they don't have a lot to do, maybe they're bored, or maybe I don't know. I can't imagine hating somebody so much that it would ruin my day. Like I can't walk into a space and see you and like I can't be cool, but hey, to each their own, I guess.
I guess. Can you share a specific example of how your identity influence something specific in what you do?
I think my particular experience being a Black woman influences just so much of like, I would say like my brand aesthetic, like how I brand myself online. Um, one thing that I love about Black women, a lot of Black women that I look up to, that I consider like people that I aspire to be, not just like people within the nerd space, but like one of my biggest Black woman like inspirations is Eartha Kitt. And she's just the way that she is so elegant and carries herself, and she was so confident in herself. She never, and it seems like she never doubted herself. Like she was always like, this is me, this is where I am, this is who I am. I try to bring that confidence to everything that I do, even if I'm scared to do it, even if I'm not sure or convinced. If I should be doing it, I do it anyway, because I want to bring that confidence. And I think that there's just something about the way Black women bring confidence in any space. It's incredible. somebody else I've looked up to in this space is Kira Please. Just the way that she has kind of evolved. She started in one place and then moved to others, which happens for creators. But I think I'm really inspired by her creativity and her bubbliness and her just her being refreshing and awkward on camera, and her kind of saying to, without saying it, it's okay to be awkward on camera, and it's okay to just kind of be yourself and be a nerd, which kind of I wasn't going to escape anyway, just because I am neurodivergent and I'm just really quirky, so I already knew I was going to show up weird anyway. But having someone else in the space to be like, it's okay to be awkward, and I'm like, yeah, that's me, I'm the awkward black girl, and that's
Right.
okay. And and it just, everything that I do, I try to be confident, and I try to be, myself. And I think sometimes when I like, I can't personally watch back my own videos too many times. I'm like, yeah, I don't know who that is. We don't talk about her. And just put my phone down. But like we had talked about earlier, like that authenticity, people really connect with it, and I love that, because I mean, to me, it makes me feel like I have a genuine community that's going to follow me wherever I go, and it's almost like a big family. Like, I'm going to be sad when I can't like respond to every comment. That'll make me really sad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. Kira, even watching her for years, it's just like, oh, but why is it still so hard to actually do that?
Hmm.
I think in the last year or so, it's been like, all right. And even like doing this in the last few months is every woman who's been on here so far has inspired me in some way to do better when it comes to like my personal content
Mm.
and stuff. And so it's been interesting. And yeah, I'm a lot like you. I don't like to watch my own videos back too many times. Um, Plays I've been in, I don't really watch.
Oh
Um,
wow, that's crazy.
Movie, like short films I've done, I don't really watch. Like, I definitely get that part. It's just
It's
like,
almost like a, it's almost like an out of body experience. Like, you
yeah.
yourself, but it's like it's not you in the now, and then you just like you spend so much time like picking apart, like, oh, I could have done this way, or I could have done this way, or man, that little hair is out of place, or man, why did I pick that outfit? And it's just like you constantly spend so much time like sight, like just analyzing yourself so much. um and like that's something I've really struggled with as a creative, which is crazy. I don't talk about it as much, but like I really struggle with being really hard on myself as a creative. Like, one of the things that really drives me, and I'm glad I've turned it into a positive, but like um a lot, when I first started, I was so bogged down by like all these amazing ideas I had and everything that I wanted to do, everything I knew I was capable of, but I was afraid that I would mess it up, or it wouldn't look right, or it wouldn't be as good as it was once it hits, like once it gets out there. And over time, I really just had to like, well, one, I have an amazing support system, and I think that that's the most important thing, is getting a really strong support system around you. But secondly, just really having that conversation with myself is like, you're only as good as, as what you put out. Like, cliche, but like, you're only as good as what you make yourself in the moment, and you can always get better. Which is why I keep telling myself that I am proud of everything that I have put out, even if I'm not like, it's not my best work. I'm very proud of everything I put out because I did it. And I try not to be so harsh on myself when I see myself on the camera, like when it gets replayed back. It doesn't get better, at least for me. It never gets better. I still cringe. I'm like, oh dang, that's a joke you said. You really said that out loud. That's crazy. But I'm still proud of her. I still like my own stuff. I'm not ashamed. I like my own stuff all the time. I like my own stuff, and I'm like, yeah, she deserves a like. That it's a unique experience watching yourself back, but I try to be proud, and I also encourage you as well, like, definitely just keep making it. I think that you already, like, just from the little clips I see, you got like amazing personality. I think you'll do so much
Thank
stuff. I also watched like some of your the older podcasts. This is a great concept. I love this.
Thank you. Yeah, no, this felt needed
Mm,
because even like when I talked to Carla, when she brought up the percentage of Black women, at least that are recognized. And I
right.
do wholeheartedly feel like that percent has to do with recognized,
Mm,
and that the percentage would be actually quite a bit higher if we chose to recognize more people in the space.
absolutely.
but of course, we know how that works.
Mm-hmm.
And I will try though. I have so many YouTube videos that are private because I just was like, I watched it after recording it and going through the editing process and all that, and was just like, you know what? Never mind. I'm gonna just leave it there, and maybe it'll be public one day. But right now, nah.
I get you. I understand.
What ways do you see that your identity is reflected? Nat, what is reflected in your work, and how do you navigate all of that in this industry?
Um, I think that my identity is very clear in my work. I think that you can't look at a Blaque N Kulture video or something that Blaque N Kulture does without seeing Black woman. Without seeing Black women. I don't think that you can watch anything, one, because my face is in most of the things that I do. But two, I think there's just something that I add that is uniquely a culmination of my experiences within the Black community, my connection to my Blackness, my connection to my womanness, that is just all over my work. And then as far as how I navigate this industry, I just exist. I don't try to compete with anybody. I think my goal right now is, and I tell everybody that I work with, my goal is not to compete. I'm not a competitive person by nature, at least in as far as work is concerned. I think there is space for everybody. There may not feel like there's bread for everybody, but there is bread for everybody. Everyone can eat.
Yeah.
I think that there is a very intense competitiveness that people feel, and I think most of that may stem from the everyone's trying to chase the same kind of bag. Everyone feels like they're chasing the same kind of coin. Me personally, I'm not trying to chase anybody's coin but what's for me. Um, Me personally, I'm not trying to be rich. I'm not trying to be rich. If it happens, hey, I'm here. But I'm really not trying to be rich. I'm not really even seeking fame in the traditional sense. Like, I have no the true
Right.
desire to be a celebrity.
No.
Um, I am seeking comfortability in community, and the one of the ways that I am comfortable talking to my community directly, and I'm comfortable seeing people at cons. I am comfortable doing this work. This As a neurodivergent person, it is really difficult to hold down traditional 9 to 5s. I've really struggled with that. So this is a job that I am so thankful that I was able to find, and that my family supports me in, because sometimes when you take this nebulous social media route, this digital creation thing, you don't get a lot of support from people because it's not a traditional job. But even in this, I have found regular work, if you will. And then on top of that, just understanding who I am in this business. I have no intentions of getting lost in that. I am Thai, I am Blaque N Kulture. We make nerd and otaku culture edutainment content. That's what we do. We don't try to do nothing more. We don't try to do nothing less. Sometimes we get a little serious. Sometimes we play it chill. That's all we doing. We just making content. Any additional drama, any additional competitiveness, because of course you're going to feel competitive because people are making content, but all the additional stuff outside of it being healthy competition is not for me. I'm not seeking it. I don't want that. And I feel like if I maintain that ideology about myself and about my business, and I continue also to create community with other like-minded creatives who also have the intention of working with each other, not gatekeeping information, not hiding anything, I think that when I find success in this industry, because I already feel like I'm fairly successful, even though I'm very, very small. I feel very successful. I'm very proud of what I've been able to do. But when I find greater success for myself, I think the industry is either going to make space for me, or I'm just going to create a space, because that's what Thai Blaque N Kulture does. We create space. So
So
that's how I'm doing it.
I love that. And I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Now, I will say it like this. Lloyd and I are both very competitive by nature,
Mm,
especially with each other. And like we even have a saying where it's like it's not a competition, but we're gonna win.
absolutely.
But it's all in good fun. There is
Exactly.
room for everyone to win in different ways. We
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be at each other's throats. There doesn't have to be drama and all
Right.
this other kind of stuff. We all have a similar mission.
Mm-hmm.
And we were just talking about that this morning. We all have a similar mission. Let's fulfill the mission and we
Right.
can all make a change in some kind of way. Because
Exactly.
that is the overarching goal, is it not? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't there's just not a need for sometimes in this industry I've seen people tear, like even small creators tear each other down. Like, and it's not to say that I'm naive to the fact that there's going to be weirdos in the space. There's going to be
yeah,
people who are not interested in playing nice or playing fair, and to those people, they're going to do what they're going to do. But I don't think it has to stop anything or anybody who's like me, who's interested in getting this into this industry, in the creative industry, from making dope content, from doing dope things. And like, I totally agree. Yes, like even when some of my friends post things and I'm like, oh, that's cute, I love that for you, that is a good video, solid, I love that video. But guess what I'm about to do? I'm about to hit up this studio, I'm about to get on this computer, and I'm about to do you one better. That's why
I
that's
love
why
that for you.
I love that for you. But guess what I'm about to do? It's the main reason why on Instagram I've been like, hey, who wants to enter rap battle beef with me? Because this is fun. This is supposed to be like, of all the careers you can pick in the world, this has got to be one of the funnest ones that you can do. Getting
Right.
online and talking to people and talking about your special interests and hyper fixating on things that ultimately don't matter in the grand scheme of things. That's got to be the funnest thing ever. And over analyzing everything,
Right.
being a theorist, that's got to be the funnest thing to do. And I think if
Yeah.
you keep it lighthearted and you keep it surface level there, even if you're talking about something serious about what within the content in the media, I think it's all fair in love, and love and content creation. But the moment that someone makes it more than that, that's when you really got to have that, it's too much, or you got to have that conversation. Hey, listen, it's not that serious, babe, it's okay.
Because even when we win, we're gonna bring you with us.
Right. Even if and that's the thing I've told everybody within the space, especially like some of my content creators friends, like Spicy Lady Entertainment and the Well Spoken Token. There are amazing content creators, and we all kind of met just because the internet's big and you can connect with anybody. But I told them straight up, I was like, if I ever hit it big, guess who I'm calling first? It's not even a question. I guess if I ever hit the jackpot, guess who I'm hitting up? Guess who I'm donating a bunch of money to? I'm donating to the people who supported me and who were with me from day one. And I think that if we continue to do that, our community would flourish in a way that I don't think anyone's prepared for, truly.
No, I don't think so. And so, what challenges, if any, I know you said it hasn't been too bad, have you
Mhm.
faced as a Black woman, and how do you stay resilient in the face of the systemic barriers and biases in this industry? Because, man, especially when you get to the anime and manga side
Yes.
of things, because
Absolutely. Challenges I face specifically as a Black woman creative is, I think that sometimes people don't take me seriously. And I think that's true for a lot of Black women, but I think that I've noticed this on YouTube and some of my other videos. Anytime I stand on a point that, mind you, I've researched. I don't put I There's very few things I post on this internet that I have not research or I don't know intimately, but I just want to say it for the record. I research everything. So there's that. And I'm also open to criticism, but I've also experienced hyper criticism, hyper critique from people about the things that I take a stand on, and that's weird to me. Don't necessarily agree with that. But it is something I've experienced a lot. I also think that when I say something, I've noticed that particularly like men in this space, they will approach what I say kind of dismissively. There's not a lot of seriousness taken into what I say, or sometimes I'll say something and I'll provide a new critique. This has happened a lot in like IRL spaces. There's a dismissiveness of what I'm saying because of the intersectionality of being Black and woman. So I have a different overall perspective of things. Um, and the second part of that question, man, I had it lined up. What was the second part of that question?
how are you staying resilient, essentially,
Yes.
despite the bias?
Despite the bias, I'm excuse my French, I'm a badass. That's how, because I'm
Yes, you
amazing.
are.
I am so, and I have to say it every day though. I have to be like, Ty, you're amazing. Ty, you do great work. And like I said, I really cannot understate how important it is to have an amazing support system. My support system is some of the best people around. I have an amazing partner. I have incredible friends. I'm so blessed to have two, like, sometimes my mom doesn't always get what I'm doing, but she supports me, and I love that. I love that about my mom. She'll send me random anime things. She's like, "Oh, anime," and I'm like, "Mom, just because they slapped an anime character on it doesn't mean I like it. Like, stop it, please." But my mom is still, she's so head over heels in love with what I do, and she's always like talking about me, and I love that. And she always calls me, she's like, "Oh, you're so smart, you're so intelligent." And my dad is such a big pillar in my life as well. He loves everything that I do, and he's always encouraging me and saying, "Oh, you're smart. Oh, you've got this." He gives me a lot of, both my parents give me a lot of real world encouragement, and they value my thoughts as well. I think that that's something that I am so appreciative that my parents value my perspective on things. So at home with my friends, my family, my partner, and my work colleagues at this point, because everyone in the social media space is like work associates. In the social media space, they respect me. They tell me how great I am. And sometimes, like, I have to think, I'm like, man, is this a little egotistical? Like, am I really, maybe my poop is starting to smell a little bit? I don't know. Maybe I need to humble myself. But no,
Your
it's just
roses
like,
smell like roses, not woo woo.
no, not boo boo boo, just
They smell
roses.
like roses.
Roses. And I think that's how I've been able to remain resilient, especially like my biggest, I always tell everybody, my biggest competitor is me. My biggest critic is me. When I'm extra hard to myself, and when I'm being mean to myself, and when I'm being vicious to myself, it is my support system that pulls me out and consistently raises me and says, "You've got this." But they also raise me to the higher standards, like, you know what, you can put a little extra work into this, you can say this a little bit better. And that's what keeps me going. That's especially like when I'm getting 1 and 200 views on TikTok, when I'm getting one like on Instagram, when I'm in, when I'm in shadow ban or whatever people like to call it, when my stuff isn't popping off. That's what keeps me resilient. That's what makes me not worry about the numbers so much, because I feel like if I didn't have them around me, maybe I'd probably be more conscious of like my analytics. I mean, of course, I care about the numbers because like it's my job, but um, I'm not as worried about a dip in followers or like a couple hundred people unfollowing me or everything like that. I'm like, oh, I'll get them back. It's whatever. And I can't understate how incredibly blessed I am to have that, because I just know that so many people do not. Um, and and I do, and I'm thankful that I have that around me.
That, yeah, that's beautiful. And if it helps, you are a badass and you make
Thank
great
you.
content. So,
Thank you.
despite Instagram trying to screw you over lately, you got
Yeah,
this.
she been a little shaky. She been a little shaky. She's not giving me the views I'm owed, but it's okay.
Instagram. Just why is representation important in the creative industries, particularly for Black women? And real quick, I don't remember if I said it at the beginning. In case anyone's wondering, this season theme is intersectionality
Mm,
for Black women specifically, of course. So that's why these questions are all like this.
I love it. Um, it's important. First off, it's important for especially large. Well, I'll start off by saying this. One of the biggest markets right now is creative. Is like the creative market. Um, Despite what people will try to
Yeah.
say about anything else, the creative market is where it's at. That's why people use AI to try to replicate what we can do. That's why people try to use watered down versions of what specifically Black women do. Creative market is one of the biggest markets right now. Influencer marketing, content creator marketing, whatever people are calling it, it's a huge market right now, and Black women in that space are some of the most creative, talented, diverse people underneath this entire space.
And stolen.
Black and stolen from consistently. um and I think it's important that black women black women have voices in creative spaces, not just in like the front space of like being hosts and things like that, but in writer rooms and in producer
Mhm.
roles and in director roles, because it's been said time and time again. It's at this point it's proven that Black women's, not only they notice the trends, but Black women are
Mhm.
the first ones to advocate. They're the first ones to say, you know, the quiet part out loud. They're the first ones to they Black women are so incredibly one of the most educated demographics of people in the States. Black women are so incredibly just, we've got it all truly as a demographic, as a people. And it's so important for us to be in those spaces because we provide, just having one Black woman on there, I think is what can be the door to not just have one Black woman, but two Black women, to have Black men, to have other people of color, to have other women of color, to have other men of color, to have people of different sexualities and gender identities in those spaces, because I've seen it time and time again. Black women are some of the biggest advocates in the spaces that they're in. And not, you can tell when Black women aren't there. You can tell when they're not there,
Mhm.
because you begin to see those spaces start to look a little sparse. They start to look a little bare. They start to look very white. And we as consumers can tell when there's not diversity. And some people might not be minded by that, but me personally, I'm bothered. I'm bothered when I don't see it. Um, and I really do believe that the initiatives that I've seen brought up by Black women are some of the most diverse, some of the most interesting, initiatives brought by Black women. And just Black women, Black women, Black women. Yes, we need them in spaces. We need them everywhere. Because I really do think that if we can see more Black women in those spaces, truly and honestly, every other kind of identity, every other kind of a kind of person that you would possibly want in that space will truly follow suit. Because I've just physically seen it. A Black woman gets in the space, everybody else that's not just other Black women, not just other Black people, but everybody else that's out there, they get a seat at the table. And I love that about us, and I love that about our ability.
Mhm. Which is why it's crazy, yet unsurprising, at the amount of pushback that we got on the clip about Kira talking about a Black woman writing for Storm. But I
Hmm.
digress. So,
Absolutely. Hmm.
how do you use your platform and work to advocate, which, I mean, I kind of know this, but let other people know, for greater representation and visibility of women creatives?
So I've done so much for specifically Black women. Um, During Black History Month, multiple different times, I have tried to highlight Black women. I've done a lot of different little campaigns where I brought in different, like, where I say, oh, Black women, like I know I did a campaign 2 years ago, Black women who live in Japan, Black women who live in Korea, like creatives who stay in Japan and Korea. Um, I've done different blogs about Black women in alternative spaces. Um, I've tried, even though my platform is so small, I've really tried to uplift Black women in my space, because Black women inspired me to do what I do. And even still,
You undersell how large your space really is.
I always feel like I'm just in my own little pond. And my pond is just it's got like me and a couple of other like larger fish, but it just really be me. And that's probably just the way that I personally perceive myself, because I don't want to I don't ever want to get too big for my britches. Like I'm definitely, like, I'm confident in myself, but I never want to get too big for my britches. And I never want to get too big for people to critique me. Like I always want to be critiquable. So I think that's why I just underthink about what I've done, because even like thinking right now, I'm like, man, I could still do so much more for Black women. There are so many other projects that I have in mind about Black women. One of the things I'd love to do is like a lot of the photo shoots I used to do when I was actively doing like freelance photography, was I would do photo shoots of Black women doing like nerd stuff. And I was like, man, I'd love to get back to that, doing photo shoots of Black women in cosplay. I'd love to feature more Black women in comics, and more Black women in manga, more Black women voice actors. Like I just feel like I could do so much more. Like I feel like the work never stops for me, because there's always new Black women entering the space. There's always more Black women. I'm like, you've been here the whole time and I didn't know it was you. Just every other day, I swear, I Google something and I'm like, oh, that was a Black woman. That's crazy.
Right.
Um, just I feel like I've done a lot. but I'm so excited and eager to do more. Black people in general, but Black women especially. I'm so excited to do more projects and more initiatives featuring, highlighting, and exalting Black women within the space. But so far, just as Blaque N Kulture, that's what I've done. And then at events, when I do cons and when I BN'K on tour goes out, one thing I try to do is I try to gather interviews from Black women. The last big con I went to, which is Holiday Matsuri down here in Orlando, I was able to Dresses and Capes, who's an amazing cosplayer. She allowed me the opportunity to speak with her. Yeah, she's incredible. Just like one of the most incredible seamstresses I've ever seen in my life. I got the opportunity to speak with her, and I got to feature her on the BN'K on tour page. And then I spoke with Danny Chambers, who's a voice actor, very very talented. She got featured on my page. I actually need to start releasing more of like the footage I get, because I typically only drop like a minute and 30 seconds. But man, just also I'm so thankful that Black women, when they see me out in the wild, they're just like, Black woman, I see you. And I just love that solidarity. There's nothing more.
No words
Yes,
needed.
no words needed. Like, that's another thing that I just like, I can't undersell. Like, Black women in the space have been so kind to me and have been so loving to me. um I'm so thankful that I decided to become a consecrated when I did, because there are so many women, not just you, but just like women in this space who have reached out to me, who show me love, who show me so much kindness. And without Black women, man, I don't even think I'd have the platform that I have. So I'm incredibly thankful for all of you guys as well.
Oh yeah, like I have come across men and Black men in this space. It's just like, but I have been hard pressed to come
Hard
across a
pressed.
Black woman in this space. That's just like, okay, well, whatever.
Hmm.
Like almost every single one of the Black women are just like, you're great. I love
Hmm.
you.
I love you. I'll reach out to you. What, you want to interview? Sure, no problem. But
Right.
just
Like,
kindness, just kindness, love, exuberance, just the grace, just
right.
10 out of 10, no note, chef's kiss.
Also, post show conversation coming.
Mm,
Talk about something.
absolutely.
But how do you reclaim your agency as a Black woman creative? Are there any specific strategies or practices that you use to empower yourself and keep yourself going, as well as other people in the community?
Some of the things that I try to do, specifically as a Black woman, is I try to make sure that when I'm in a space, I am there. And it's one of the things I've gotten a lot, especially recently, is like, for like when I'm out in the, like when I'm just in normal spaces, they're like, "Oh, you're like so creative and you're so bold," and it's just like, I really do try to live my life as a Black woman authentically, boldly, unapologetically. I try to make people know, like, I don't let it, I wear my anime t-shirts, I wear my creative makeup. I'm a little barefaced today because it's just like, it's a Saturday. I didn't feel like it. But I try to be as bold and unapologetic as possible. And I think the most incredible form of protest and the most incredible form of reclamation is when you are authentically yourself in every space that you show up in. I do not dumb myself down for anybody. I do not try to mince myself down or compartmentalize. I like to take up space, and I think that that's an incredible thing that I'm able to do. I'm privileged to be able to do that, truthfully, to walk into any space and to be it. It took a lot of growth. Still some days it takes a lot of my partner being like, it's okay, you've got it, you look good in that, I promise you look good. I'm like, you sure don't look a little wild? Like, this is supposed to be a family function. And he's like, hey, listen, it's your outfit, you wear it. um and I think that that's it's something powerful that I'm able to do. And what I try to do for my community, no matter who's in my communities, I try to remind them of like these very important things. Like, one, you're the most important person in your universe. Nothing starts or stops without you. And a lot of people, don't think too hard about it. It's just truly like, nothing starts in this world until you open your eyes, and everything ends when you close it. So you're the most important person in your universe. You got to prioritize yourself. You got to take care of yourself. Whether that includes self-care, that also includes reinvesting in yourself in your creative endeavors or in your work. That means always constantly, setting good healthy boundaries, setting reasonable rules with people so that people can respect you in whatever space you're in. That's also letting people know it's okay to mess up, it's okay to fumble, it's okay to fall, it's okay to fail. I'm very comfortable with failure. I'm not so comfortable with success, so we're working on it.
You get there.
But we'll get there. But I'm okay with falling down. I try to remind my community that it's okay to not be the best. I'm not the best gamer. I don't find myself to be the most eloquent speaker sometimes. I'm not the best. I'm not the best at anything that I do, but I'm the best at the way I do it. And I'm okay with that. And I try to remind my community that what we have, what we're doing, what we're existing as, this is okay. This is totally fine. And as we get bigger and as we grow more, I want to keep encouraging my community to be creative, to say the weird thing, within reason, to be quirky, to be wild, to be authentic, to be yourself. Because truthfully, and not on some like cliche, be this aesthetic. No, genuinely be yourself. If that means like you want to be like a little couch gremlin and all you do is sit and eat potato chips all day and you watch bad TV, hey, that's a you thing, and I'm happy that that's for you. And if you're somebody who's in the gym 24/7, like just truly living your life. I don't ever want to try to impose anything else. Like, I like to pose questions, I like to share information, but like I really just want people to live their lives. There's people out here just trying to tell everybody who they can and cannot be, what you can and cannot do, who you can and cannot love, how you can and cannot show up. I'm not trying to do that. Just be yourself and truthfully, honestly, show up how you show up in this world. And I want that for my community so, so bad.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are definitely working on taking up space a little bit more. It's
Hmm.
something to work on, especially depending on how you grew up, man.
Oh yes, yes. It's a toughie. It's not a everyday thing. And I always tell people I'm fairly young. I'm 26. I'll be 27 this year. Um, and it really does come from, you got to start small. So, like, I wasn't always this bold. It started off with like when I worked at a gas station, I would put anime pins on my hat because I was just like, I got them approved. I was like, can I please wear this pin on my hat? And my manager's like, sure. And then it expanded into, I had my lanyard decked out. And then on crazy days when I moved into an office building, I was wearing anime shirts on my dress down days. And then, as I moved out of that and I moved into a new space, I always try to let people know this is my office. You're going to see this office no matter where you're at. And I think that
Mhm.
that just over time, putting your interests out there is also kind of just putting yourself out there, because
Yeah.
if your special interests are tied to your personality like they are for me, like that really helps as well. So yeah, it's definitely it's a long road, but I trust you'll be so much happier just being yourself.
I love it. I love it. I have been trying to make sure that every week when I go to rehearsal, I have on some kind of nerd shirt, just because.
Just because.
But how do you envision the future of inclusivity and representation for Black women specifically in creative industries and creative spaces? Like, what are we going to look like 10 years from now?
um I think it's a complex question. What I can say is I think that there's going to be a divestment from major Hollywood. There already is, but I really do think there's going to be a divestment from large corporations and companies, just because capitalism sucks. No one likes it. And I think that a large major part about why there is a lack of inclusivity and diversity in these spaces is because of money sometimes, or just, it could just be blatant bigotry, but I think that there's a lot that can be made off of bigotry. People do like to rage bait for money, and I think that
Mhm.
people get a lot out of that. So
Oh,
I think there's going to be a huge divestment from large corporations into smaller production companies, into smaller spaces. I can already see that that's happening. And but also in that same place, I think that there's going to be more Black women creating platforms, or I what I would love to see is a Black woman owned platform. But
yeah.
I do think there's going to be more Black femme platforms created, that are going to be more open to spaces. I definitely already have started to see Black execs popping up in spaces, Black queer execs. So Black femme execs are definitely happening as well. I just really do think it's going to be, everyone's been talking about it, but I'm actually seeing actions that people are taking to create our own spaces, truly
Yeah.
divesting from mainstream. just moving indie with everything. And I think in the next 10 years, that's going to look something kind of like what we're seeing with like Has Been Hotel and Hell of a Boss by Fizzy Pop. She started off as an indie creator on YouTube, posting it there, and then it got picked up. I think we're going to see a lot more of that. Indie studios making X, Y, and Z thing. They own the rights to it, and then maybe as they get bigger, leasing it out to a larger company to expand their project versus like how it used to be where you would give your project over to a company and you would create it with them. So, you know, for whatever reason they want to cancel you, you know, that's just the end of your project. You'll never see it. So that's what I really do see the future of. It's going to be a huge divestment, but it's going to be important divestments to divert those resources to indie brands, into indie companies who are going to allow for greater inclusivity and greater diversity within their spaces.
Oh, I agree. Shoot, on the season finale for season 1, I said it. I said the future of media is in indie.
Yes.
If we want to see more, if we want to see better, if we want to see people creating things that they actually care about for us to watch, then we have to start supporting indie brands.
Absolutely.
Throughout all forms of media. I said that because I agree with that 100%. I also do always say, like, the reason why diversity isn't happening much is definitely a mix of money and just straight up bigotry. And I've gone on the record at least 2 times saying this, that they intentionally sabotage things that show inclusion or have Black people at the forefront in order to say, see, Black people don't make money, so we don't need to put them in stuff. Like,
exactly.
I swear up and down, that's exactly what they do every time.
They certainly do. It's very clear. I think that a lot of people are like skeptical, or you know, they're a little bit afraid to say it. I was like, but we have a history in this specifically in the States. Can't speak for anything else, but we have a history within the States of Black people and other brown individuals being specifically targeted. Black people, like, mind you, Black people built the entertainment industry within America, and we're consistently being worked and weeded out of it because as much as they can, they're going to do that because they don't want to share the dollars, they don't want to share the money, or they only want one specific image of us. That's why something that has Good Times name on it but is completely devoid of everything that the original show is can exist. And they're I high key, my little theory, I think that they're banking on it not working and not making money.
Agree wholeheartedly.
Right.
Like
because
Carl
if it doesn't make money
at the beginning of the project, because he was like, this isn't what I signed up for.
This isn't what I signed up for. This isn't, of course, no hate to anybody who worked on the project. Hey, you get your bag, you get your money. Not upset at all. But like, you know, they to your point of like sabotaging, yes, they absolutely, it is by design. They want to sabotage something because they, and also I think there's also this sense of, oh, because see, Black people can't do anything right, so we're going to show you how it's actually done, and we're going to show you like this is your place. Black people are supposed to be minstrels. Black people are supposed to be the funny side character. Black people are supposed to do X, Y, and Z. And if they keep you thinking that this is how you're supposed to look, it'll, because media is such a big influence of people. Exactly, people start to believe it. It truly is. Sometimes I think people think that, and you know, we'll being transparent. I think all people, like some people like, oh, it's white people. No, I think that there is a common consensus. There is this common consensus that there is a conspiracy theory, like, oh, the man isn't trying to, I was like, I wouldn't say it's the man. We just live in a system that is, since day one, has systematically been set against an entire group of people, and that people has been disenfranchised from the beginning. You're gonna see struggles. You're gonna feel the effects of 400, 500 years of disenfranchisement. Like, that just happens. So that's exactly why divestment is necessary. Truly, divestment is necessary. Indie is necessary so that we can truly fund our own projects.
All right. So just like we build original Hollywood, we'll build a new one. So
absolutely.
What advice would you give to other Black women creatives who are navigating their identity specifically in the creative space?
What I would say to you, Black women, is that same advice I gave earlier. You're the most important person in your universe. Definitely prioritize yourself. Take care of yourself. sometimes sometimes you need to take a step away. It is okay to say that I am overwhelmed, that this is too much, and I don't want to do this today. And it's also okay to try something new. Don't feel stuck in your niche. Don't feel stuck in your space. You can always pivot. You can always change. As far as your identity, you're a Black woman, so that is going to come with some initial pre-programmed hate. You're going to receive a prerequisite of nasty comments online. People are going to insult you. People are going to insinuate that you are dumb, that you are stupid. People are going to demean you and diminish your ability to do what you are doing. All because they have their own preconceived feelings, notions, and ideologies about who you are. They already have made up in their minds that you are not worthy of their time. But I assure you, there is an audience for you. There are people out there who want to see you. There are people out there who are dying to hear your thoughts. And I say that because it happened to me, truly and honestly. That's how it started for me. And I think that if you don't have a support system, reach out to other women in your space. You'll be so surprised to see the women in your space who want to support you. Reach out to like-minded individuals. And once you get your support system, trudge ahead. Put out everything. Do everything. Don't think anything is too stupid. Because nothing is stupid. Just do do you and be happy in it. Do better when you feel like you can do better, and turn the camera off when you feel like you've done enough. Only do what makes you happy, and I think that you will be just fine.
I agree. I have nothing to add. Not that it was my job to add anything on that one. All right. And so we've come to the point of the show where I give a fact. Since Women's History Month is over, obviously, we are not doing Women History Month fact of the day, but we are doing a fact of the day about women in the industry. And so today is that Barbara Brandon Croft, who was an American cartoonist best known for her comic strip Where I'm Coming From, was the first nationally syndicated African American female cartoonist. And I had a little something extra for that, but I forgot what it was now. So, because that was like a week ago.
Shout out to Branda. We love her.
And darn it, she just got something else greenlit. Another story greenlit recently as well. I don't remember what it was, but this is like sometime in the past year, and it's being worked on. So like she is still very active, guys. So go find and support what she's got coming out. And
I'm
of
excited.
course, thank you to our awesome guest Ty for being here with us today. And go ahead, Ty, if you would please share all your socials, where people can find you, how people can support you, all those things.
Yeah. If you want to find me anywhere on the internet, it is BLAQUE, the letter N, K with KULTURE, Blaque N Kulture. That is everywhere. YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. TikTok I'm doing pretty well on. I don't know if she'll be around for much longer, but I'm riding her until the wheels fall off. So
Today.
they past the House, not the Senate yet. So we're waiting, but I'm writing that app until the wheels fall off. So I will still be there. I'm everywhere. I do in June I am starting I think in June, probably late June now because I had to push some projects back. But in June I'm launching a series of YouTube videos. So that's gonna be fun. So check out my YouTube around that time. Subscribe if you haven't. I also have a press company called BN'K on Tour, just like that. And that is where all of my press work comes from. I've got interviews. I've got so much exciting stuff happening this year with my team. My team has expanded. We went from 2 people to 5, so we're doing the thing. I'm so excited for my team. We post reviews about local conventions and events within the Orlando, Florida area. So if you happen to be in Orlando, Florida, you're trying to visit Disney or Universal, there's always more than that happening. So please feel free to check that out and see if there's something that interests you. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for right now.
And y'all start hiring her and paying her to come out to, other conventions so she can get out of just the Florida area, because that would be great.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. I'm going to MomoCon in May. So I'll be down. That's out of
You're at MomoCon.
Hey, I gotta see
a panel with Nerdy Bear. So we'll be there.
Oh, that's right. I just connected with Nerdy Bear. Absolutely. I will certainly be there.
Yay.
Yay. But yeah.
But all right, guys, of course, you know where you can find me. You can find me at official_Tashi J. That's official_TOSHIJ on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook and Twitter, excuse me. So that's everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where I am just at TashiJ89. Or you can find me at Midnight X Comics everywhere except for Facebook and YouTube, where we are just Midnight Comics. And of course, as I always say, remember that a small spark can create a big flame. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in.